In honor of St. Patrick's Day, we're making corned beef and cabbage, organic. So you're gonna start with your ingredients. I got all of these from Whole Foods. I got my potatoes. We're using a russet potato, which is perfect for this. I got a bag, but you might not necessarily need that much. It depends on how many people you're cooking for. I want each person to have at least one potato, and I'd like some leftovers. So I'm gonna be using at least 8 to 12 potatoes since I'm gonna be serving a crew. All right, your head of cabbage, you're gonna cut that up. You've got an onion and your brisket. Now, let me explain the brisket because this is what we're gonna get started with. We're gonna put this in the crock pot. It's almost like they've vacuum sealed it for you with the seasonings in there. So you're literally gonna take this out of the pouch, you're gonna put it in your crock pot, and you're gonna cover it with about 2 inches of water, and you're gonna let it go for 3 hours. Put it on high, get it bubbling, and then drop it down to low for 2 to 3 hours and let that cook first. So that gives you time to cut up your cabbage and your potatoes and get that ready. Really quickly, I want to point out, it's an uncured corned beef. It is minimally processed, no nitrates, no preservatives, and it's gluten-free. How great is that? So this is a perfect gluten-free meal. So this is about 2 pounds. That's gonna be sufficient for a family. It's gonna feed about a family of 4 to 6, so you should be good there. And then you should have some leftovers. So I'm gonna get this going. I'm gonna cut up my cabbage and my potatoes. This entire meal cost about $20. So if you're serving 8, you're looking at $2.10 per serving for organic corned beef and cabbage. How exciting is that? So watch and I'll show you how. All right, the crock pot's on high. The meat's in. I put 2 inches of water in there. I'm gonna let that go for an hour and get that boiling. Then I'm gonna drop it down to low for 2 hours. And that'll give me time to cut up my cabbage and my potatoes. Once this is cooked for about 2 to 3 hours, you're gonna go ahead and add in your cabbage, your onion, and your potatoes, all right? And then you're gonna let it cook for about another hour. So total cook time should be roughly 4 to 5 hours, maybe 6. It depends on how long it takes for that meat to shred, because that's what you want, the meat to shred, all right? And the flavors still incorporate, but you don't want your potatoes or your cabbage to get too mushy. So just watch it, check it periodically, and we'll check in and see how this is doing. Another thing, you can add carrots to this if you wanted to. So you can really add whatever you want to kind of bulk it up or stretch it if you're gonna be feeding more people or if you want more leftovers. Okay, I am at the point where I'm ready to put my potatoes in. The meat has been cooking for a good solid 3.5 hours. Again, I'm cooking for a crew, so I have more meat in here. I just added my onion, and now I'm adding the rest of my potatoes. I'm keeping them in decent sized chunks because, again, I'm serving a lot of people, but I don't want too small potatoes because then they could potentially disintegrate and start to really fall apart, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm gonna let my potatoes go for about an hour, let those cook really well in the broth, and then I'm going to add last my cabbage, all right? So I'm gonna add my cabbage, put the lid back on, let it steam, and then mix it periodically, and then it'll be ready to plate up. All right, we're ready to put our cabbage in. I am going to just lay it on top, kind of nest it in a little bit, and then put the lid back on and let it steam and be in the broth, all right? You're just gonna let this go for about 20, 30 minutes, and then you can serve it up. You can serve this with some Irish soda bread or just some regular bread, whatever you wanna do. You could serve this over mashed potatoes, and I found out that it's very similar to a Weight Watchers recipe, which is only 9 points. So it's Weight Watcher friendly, it's gluten-free, and it's an homage to St. Patrick's Day. Have a great St. Patrick's Day.